Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Now, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again, whether you're tuning in on the radio dial in Mississippi at WYAD 94.1 FM. We welcome you. Also, those joining us through our online friends around the world, we thank you all for tuning in as well. I'm really excited to welcome best-selling author Jeff Kinney to our program today. He's celebrating the 12th release in his Diary of a Wimpy Kid series. The new book is called The Getaway, and he's also celebrating 10 years of this series. We'll talk to Jeff not only about the response already to the new book, but also the new adventures that we're able to see Greg take on and the adventures that Jeff himself is taking on as he's traveling with the new book. If you have not heard about the new book, we'll tell you at the end how you can get the book for yourself. But Jeff, hello to you and welcome to the program.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Hey, glad to do it. So let's first of all talk about this for you. I mean, here you are now celebrating a decade with these characters and with this series, Jeff. What has it been like for you to reflect not only on their success, but also how this book has really helped to change the lives of kids really around the world?
Well, thank you. That's very flattering. I appreciate that. It's been really a wild ride for me. My life is in two halves. There's the before the publication and then after. And I've just been on this wild ride ever since publication about 10 years ago. I've gotten to meet 3 U.S. presidents. I've gotten to travel around the world. I've gotten to be on movie sets. So that's a lot of fun. But the most important thing to me is the books. I actually wrote the books for grown-ups. I was thinking that I was writing a book, a nostalgia piece like The Wonder Years or A Christmas Story or something like that about an adult looking back on their childhood. But the books found their way into kids' hands, and now I realize I'm really writing for these kids who are looking for some commonality.
Right. What I love about this series and what I talk about a lot on this program, Jeff, is how when you can find, kids that are excited about a book release, that to me is a win. Is that like one of the big highlights for you to see the excitement that readers have as they're anticipating each book?
Yeah, there's something sort of anachronistic about a book in a way. It's old-fashioned in a way, but I think that a lot of our real pleasures in life come from old-fashioned things like this. But I love seeing a picture of a bunch of kids on a bus all reading the new book, not on their screens, not texting each other, but diving into the new book and sort of racing to see who can get to the end first. So it's exciting that a book can still do that.
For sure. So let's get into the new book, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Getaway. I actually posted my review this morning on Amazon.com. We'll remind our audience a little bit later how they can get the book for themselves. What I love about this book, and we won't, of course, spoil it for those who haven't read it because it's just now coming out, Jeff, but what I love is that it really does show that even for kids as well as for us adults, the best laid plans don't always go as expected. I mean, how did this new book, the idea for it, come about?
It came about from all of the travel that I've been doing over the past few years. Getting on a plane can be an unpleasant experience, and I thought there's got to be comedy there. When my characters are uncomfortable, it's usually pretty funny. But I also try to explore childhood from every different angle. I'm always looking for things that I haven't written about yet. And I hadn't had Greg and his family on a plane. And I tried to see the experience through the eyes of a kid. Like when you hear the safety video, most adults are very blasé about it. They don't really pay attention. But when a kid's watching the safety video for the first time and they're talking about a water landing, that's going to get the kid's attention. So that's what I try to do. I try to see things through a kid's eyes.
Yeah. Well, I think the fun thing for sure, and this definitely proved true in this series, Jeff, is that, if something bad is going to happen, it's going to happen to Greg and his family and those around him. I mean, I think, and I think so it kind of makes us feel a little bit better that, hey, at least I haven't experienced, that. I think, even simple things like going to a restaurant, what you're going to wear and what's acceptable, or even try to go out on the water and, not have to worry about, someone falling on top of you, and ruining the pictures. I mean, I think, there are so many great things about this that's fun. How has it remained fun for you, though, Jeff? I mean, as you've kind of looked at what you've done and creating this series, what has kept it fun for you?
I think the fun for me really is in knowing that if I write a book, even if it's a bad book, that millions of kids are going to read it. It's a privilege, really, to be in this position. And I live in a small town called Plainville, a population of about 8,000. And it always strikes me when I'm writing one of these books that even though my world is very small, that these books are going to reach kids all over the world. So it's a real privilege to be in that position.
Yeah, and I know the privilege is something that our audience appreciates as well. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, either on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. We're excited to welcome best-selling author Jeff Kinney to our program today. The book, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Getaway, is just out now, already a #1 bestseller on Amazon.com. We'll remind you a little bit later how you can be able to not only get the book for yourself, but also how you can meet Jeff. Jeff, you mentioned, of course, earlier about seeing pictures of the kids reading new releases. And you now are out physically meeting these kids, meeting their parents even, as you're on this tour. Talk to us about that experience as you go from coast to coast and around the world. I mean, what has it been like for you to see that response in person?
Well, it's really exciting. It's really energizing. I'm on leg 2 now of a 4-leg tour. We kind of had a preview tour, if you will, a few weeks ago, and we went to Russia and to Singapore and Taiwan, and so these are places I've never been before. I think, I'm 46 years old now. I think what's really exciting about this phase of my life is that there are so many things that I'm ignorant about. I didn't know anything about Taiwan before I went, or Singapore, and so to go there and to replace ignorance with experience is great, and then to meet these kids who are so enthusiastic about these books. It's incredible.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, and I think the other thing that I took away from The Getaway in particular, Jeff, and you've actually alluded to it throughout this series, I think, and that's the other great thing I think is that the books are entertaining. I mean, there are great lessons there for us to learn, but the entertainment value definitely comes through. I think being willing to learn, because that's one of the things that of course the main character Greg has been able to do. I mean, is that something that you hope the young people realize too, to never lose that sense of adventure and learning and longing to be able to explore?
That's a really great question. I think about that all the time, because when I first wrote the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books, like I said, I was really writing for adults. So I wasn't trying to bake in any lessons. And what I've realized over time is that if I did try to moralize to kids or to try to bake in these ethical lessons, that kids might get turned off. So I think that what I strive for in these books is humor, is that there's got to be humor on every page. And I want the kids to take away a macro lesson, which is that reading is fun, that reading is pleasurable. Because if a kid encounters a book that's too difficult for them too early on, they will get turned off to reading, because they'll say, "This is, reading's not fun. It's not for me." And so I think my books and books like my books, that they give kids a feeling of success, and then they move on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, I think that is so true. Well, we're really excited to be able to have an opportunity to finally speak with you, Jeff. Congratulations to you on, of course, the 10 years of this series. Now book 12 is out, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Getaway, as I mentioned, is available through our partners at Amazon.com, or you can get it through your favorite bookstore if they don't have it. You definitely have to ask them what's wrong with them, but I'm sure they'll be glad to order it for you if they do not have the book. Jeff, how can our audience stay connected with you and kind of keep up with your travels along the way?
Well, they can follow me on my Twitter handle is Wimpy Kid, unsurprisingly, and we're going to be posting a lot along the way, and hopefully I'll get to meet kids in the areas that are listening right now.
Sounds great. Jeff, congratulations to you again, and thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. If you all came in late and missed part of the conversation with Jeff, don't worry. Thanks to our online friends, you all can catch the replay right after we go off the air. The link is already available through our social media site. So head over to Facebook.com/Cyrus Webb or go over to Twitter.com/Cyrus Webb. If you click on the link there, you can listen to the show completely for free and share with your friends from there too. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying, as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Make sure you take out time to enjoy some good music as well as a great book. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live today. You will make it a great one.